Welcome to The Explainer. So today, we're doing something a bit different. We're actually opening up the pages of an immersive storybook to explore two completely distinct magical village fables. Now, on the surface, these might sound like just your average simple fairy tales, but as we break them down, you're going to see they're actually these brilliant case studies. They show exactly how we humans manipulate rules, how we gatekeep status, and honestly, how we fall victim to our own egos. So we're going to visualize exactly how magic interacts with human nature across two very different, deeply revealing scenarios. It's going to be a fun one.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is exactly how our double feature is going to unfold. We'll start with stealing the night sky, followed by the waning moon's lesson. Then we transition over to the poor farmer's struggle, the sudden arrival of a magic golden mustache, and finally, we'll wrap up with the morals of the magic.
Part 1. Stealing the Night Sky.
So, our first fable sets the scene in the village of Gadbari, where we meet this local thief named Muggin. Now, Muggin is, well, to put it lightly, he's not exactly the sharpest tool in the shed. He routinely goes out heavily armed to steal, only to get sweet-talked and sent home completely empty-handed by the very homeowners he's trying to rob. Anyway, one night on a super bright Purnima, that's a full moon night, Muggin decides he's going to break through the back wall of a wealthy local merchant, a Seth. The Seth hears the racket, realizes it's just the foolish Muggin, and knows he has to protect his property. But instead of calling the guards, the Seth does something brilliant. He weaponizes Muggin's ego. Muggin is standing there, proudly claiming he's this unique, fearless thief who can do literally anything. So the Seth calls his bluff. He tells him, hey, if you can do anything, and you are different from other thieves, then steal the moon from me. It is a masterclass in psychological manipulation. By playing right into Muggin's inflated narcissism, the Seth totally distracts him from the house. And get this, Megan actually accepts this absurd cosmic quest. He promises to bring the moon back by morning, just to prove he isn't some ordinary fool.
Megan's logic here is wow. It's literally a masterclass in absurdity. Let's just walk through his actual plan, shall we? He looks up, sees a bat hanging from a tree, and reasons, hey, a bat's claws are incredibly strong. So step 1, catch the bat. Step 2, he steals a truck, parks it in an open field, and ties this massive long rope from the truck to the bat. Step 3, he lets the bat go. It flies up, up, up into the night sky and, in Megan's mind anyway, latches its super strong claws right onto the moon. Finally, step 4, Megan floors it. He hits the gas on the truck and, in his head, literally pulls the moon down to Earth. He scoops it up, shoves it in his bag, and proudly marches back to the Seth the very next morning.
Part 2. The Waning Moon's Lesson.
When Megan shows up with a bag that he claims holds the moon, the Seth is understandably stunned. Not because Megan actually pulled off a cosmic heist, obviously, but just because of his sheer unbelievable delusion. But hey, the Seth is a businessman, right? He immediately pivots. He praises Megan's genius and tricks him a second time. He convinces Megan to quit breaking walls and instead open a paid museum, put this captured moon in a box, and charge people to come see it. So Megan opens up shop and actually starts making massive profits right away on the night of the Purnima, the full moon. But he completely ignores the natural lunar cycle. As the days pass, the real moon starts to wane. It gets smaller and smaller up in the sky, which means the moon that people think is in Megan's box appears to be shrinking too. The crowds thin out. And then finally, Amavasya arrives, the new moon. The moon vanishes completely from the sky. Megan looks in his box, sees absolutely nothing, and just starts weeping. He is entirely convinced his precious stolen moon is gone forever. And this brilliantly illustrates how Megan goes completely bankrupt simply because he thinks he controls an asset he actually knows zero about. Honestly, it's a tale as old as time in the business world.
Seeing Megan in total despair, the Seth swoops right in, playing the generous savior. He buys the empty box for absolute pennies, just to help a guy out. Megan gratefully takes the cash, and of course, nature takes its course. The new moon ends, the lunar cycle keeps spinning, and the moon naturally waxes back to a full moon. So as far as everyone's concerned, the moon grows back in the box. The Seth reopens the exhibit, pockets all the future profits for himself, and leaves our foolish Megan exactly right back where he started, a petty thief trying to break through back walls.
Part 3. The Poor Farmer's Struggle.
Now, we're going to cleanly transition away from foolish greed to our second fable. This is an entirely different kind of story centering on a hardworking, deeply impoverished farmer named Shankar and his young daughter, Rocky. To really get this story, we have to look at the weird social dynamics of their village. Shankar is poor, sure, but he works incredibly hard and he loves his daughter to pieces. But the village has this completely cruel systemic rule.
In this society, a mustache isn't just facial hair, it is heavily gate-kept social capital. Literally, only wealthy men are legally allowed the pride and status of growing one. The wealthy elites, like Shankar's incredibly arrogant neighbor Mahipal, use this absurd rule to enforce artificial scarcity and keep the poor folks, like Shankar, firmly in their place. The conflict really kicks off when Mahipal's daughter bullies little Rocky. She mocks them for being so poor that her dad isn't even allowed to have a mustache. Rocky runs home absolutely devastated, demanding to know why her father is denied this basic dignity.
Shankar is forced to sit down and explain to his little girl that he simply isn't allowed to grow one. The village elite would never, ever permit it. And this just breaks Shankar. He wanders out to his field, sits down under a tree, and just weeps. The despair is so heavy that he actively contemplates ending his life right then and there. He feels totally trapped by a society that denies him his basic humanity. I mean, how is he supposed to survive without dignity? And worse, how do you even begin to explain systemic oppression to a child?
Part 4. The Magic Golden Mustache. Just as the tension reaches its absolute peak, magic intervenes. Shankar actually falls asleep under that tree while crying. When the morning sunlight hits his face, he wakes up, touches his lip, and, wait for it, finds a magnificent, completely magical golden mustache firmly attached to his face. He nervously gives it a little pull, and clink, a solid gold coin drops right out. Now, what's really interesting about this moment is that the entity behind this magic, the goddess of wealth, suddenly appears right before him. She explains that she gifted him this magical mustache specifically to challenge those shallow village elites. She declares, point blank, that the right to hold one's head high with dignity, or to grow a mustache in this case, is a matter of personal passion, not bank balances.
But the goddess gives Shankar a very specific magical limitation. Every single day, he can pull exactly 100 gold coins from his new golden mustache. No more, no less. Now, let's put that into perspective. 100 gold coins a day is an absolute life-changing fortune for a poor farmer. But more importantly, the magic operates on this strict daily limit. It provides just enough to empower Shankar, but it forces him to wake up every single morning and actively make the choice of how to wield this new power against his oppressors.
With this daily influx of cash, Shankar's life literally transforms overnight. He collects his coins day after day and very quickly becomes the wealthiest man in the entire region. He builds this massive, sprawling mansion, he hires servants, the whole shebang. But the best part, when he finally runs into the arrogant Mahipal on the road, Mahipal immediately tries to mock him for breaking the mustache rule. But Shankar just confidently pulls out a handful of his gold coins, proving his newfound untouchable status, and leaves Mahipal utterly speechless, just totally humiliated. Mahipal's gatekeeping is completely shattered by the one thing he actually respects more than the village rules: unimaginable wealth. Shankar flipped the social hierarchy on its head, virtually overnight.
Part 5. Morals of the Magic.
Then, one morning, Shankar wakes up and the magic mustache is just gone. The goddess reappears and tells him, "Your time with the magic is up." But it just so happens that on that very same day, Shankar is hosting a massive gathering of all the village elites at his new mansion. So instead of hiding away in shame, he steps out completely barefaced in front of everyone, and he delivers this incredibly powerful speech. He tells them a person's worth is not judged by their wealth, and passion belongs to everyone. So the crucial point is, he publicly calls out the entire village for years of using his poverty to deny his basic humanity. He demands an end to the discrimination right then and there, declaring that from now on, everyone is going to live together as equals, regardless of their wealth or, frankly, what's growing on their face. The true takeaway here is that Shankar didn't just take a seat at the top of the corrupt table, he flipped the table entirely. And because of his newfound influence, the village actually listens, and those unjust class rules are abolished for good. When we place these two stories side by side, we get this really fascinating contrast in how magic operates as a mirror for human nature. In the first tale, McGann the thief is totally defined by foolishness and greed. The magic of the lunar cycle is something he just doesn't understand at all, and his ultimate consequence is losing everything to a clever opportunist. That's a guy destroyed by his own misunderstanding of nature and his ego. But then, look at the second tale. Shankar the farmer starts from a place of intense humility and severe oppression. When he's handed actual, literal magic, he doesn't just use it to get rich and run away. He uses his temporary supernatural gift to forge permanent societal change. He actually ends the inequality in his village. These fables are such a great reminder that whether we're staring up at the moon in the sky or just looking at our neighbors right here on Earth, our perspective dictates our reality. McGann saw a prize to be hoarded. Shankar saw a tool to demand human dignity. Which brings me to a final thought I want you to take away from this explainer today. If magic suddenly gave you the power to change one unjust rule in your society, what would it be? Think about it. Keep questioning the world around you, and thanks for joining me.